Today I'll be playing as Paul of Boston. He is one of the characters the game recommends, so he isn't totally randomly generated. He's guaranteed to start with the ambitious, brave, zealous and Herculean traits. This, along with the fact that he also starts with a martial education, means that he's a fantastic commander. We own just one county, and we are a vassal in Ivyland. But it is an elective monarchy, and we are likely to be elected as the new general of the state of Ivyland. That is, as long as people don't discover that we actually worship Cthulhu. You see, everyone in Ivyland follows the Americanist Mayflower faith, including us, officially. But really, we secretly follow the Fathomless faith. We essentially believe that the fish people from Shadow over Innsmouth caused the apocalypse, and will cause another if they and their leader Cthulhu aren't worshipped enough. Technically, their leader should be Dagon, but I guess Cthulhu has better brand recognition. I had finished fabricating a claim on Rhode Island when my elderly liege died, and I was elected his successor. Paul starts with a claim on the Duchy of Boston, so I was able to revoke it along with a county from my new vassal. I had thought that I would have to fight a difficult war for Rhode Island against an equal foe, and that I would have to rely on Paul's superior commander skills to win. But with the strength of Ivyland behind me, the war was quick and easy. Now that I personally held the best land in Ivyland, I wanted to expand my kingdom. To the south are the Americanists. They are not de jure part of New England, so I won't be expanding there for now. To the north is Maine, a relatively powerful kingdom that follows the Fathomless faith. If it was known that I also worship Cthulhu, they might be friendlier towards me. Instead, I will have to be wary of them. And to the east are multiple tribal duchies that follow the Gothic faith. They are currently fighting one another, so I could easily defeat one of them. Massachusetts is de jure part of Ivyland, so after winning a de jure conquest war, I vassalized it. Because they follow the wrong faith, I had cause to revoke their lands and give them to more loyal subjects, but I also had a 5-year truce with them preventing me from doing it, so I'll have to wait for it to expire. In the meantime, I turned my attention west, to the only de jure part of Ivyland I didn't yet control. The islands were ruled by the Sterling dynasty, who are Fathomless. Instead of conquering them, I'll try to peacefully vassalize them when I reveal my true faith. The county on the mainland was independent and ruled by the Kennedys, who are, unsurprisingly, Americanists. They wanted to befriend me, and they even gave me a hook on them. But as they followed a different Americanist faith than I supposedly did, they didn't want to become my vassals. I had to force them. Unfortunately, conquering Massachusetts caused me to go into debt, and I was unable to go to war. Just then, New Hampshire offered to pay me more money in exchange for a truce. I was happy to take the deal so that I could attack the Kennedys. At the start of the game, I had, of course, chosen the martial lifestyle for Paul. I had taken a few perks in the gallantry path for the bonuses to knights and personally commanding armies, and then I shifted to going down the strategy path. I was lucky enough to get an event that offered me the aggressive attacker commander trait. I figured it would come in handy in the future, so I took it. The first time I fought a battle with the aggressive attacker trait was against the Kennedys, and it resulted in 100% casualties for them. I won the war, and the Kennedys became my newest vassals. By now, my truce with Massachusetts had expired, and I ordered them to give up their titles in the name of Cthulhu, America. I wasn't surprised when they revolted against me, but I was surprised when the Kennedys revolted as well, considering they had no troops. I thought this would be a quick and easy war, but then the High Chiefdom of the Green Mountains and their ally Maine also attacked, wanting to take Massachusetts for themselves. Together they had twice as many soldiers as me, so I betrothed one of my daughters to a prince of Hudsonia and called them in as an ally against the Green Mountains and Maine. The invaders were besieging castles in Massachusetts, but because Massachusetts was rebelling against me, I wouldn't get the defender's advantage if I tried to relieve the siege. And even with Hudsonia's help, I wasn't certain I'd win a direct battle with them. By focusing on the rebels and taking the Kennedy's castle, I was able to defeat them, causing Massachusetts to be considered my land again. I counterattacked the invaders before they could abandon their siege, and with the defender's advantage I was able to win a battle against them. The war wasn't over, but thanks to the aggressive attacker trait, their strength was broken. They then allied with New Hampshire and called them in to help them. So I was now at war with New Hampshire, even though I had a truce with them. As if that wasn't enough, a peasant revolt erupted at the same time. Luckily, it was only a small one, and I was able to swiftly crush it. And thanks to Paul's commander skill and my Hudsonian allies, I defeated the invaders. I now had full control of my kingdom. I revoked all titles from the rebel vassals and gave them to more loyal ones. Except for the Kennedys, who I allowed to keep their land because I thought it would be neat to have them around. I decided I was secure enough in my power to reveal my true faith. Most of my vassals converted with me. One I had to use a hook on, and Kennedy is converted in exchange for being released from imprisonment. The Fathomless faith is unreformed, but we already control 3 holy sites. It would only take some piety to turn it into an organized religion, but being unreformed gives us some options. We can now use the Conquest CB, allowing us to declare war for any duchy in exchange for some prestige, and we now have access to the wonderfully OP mechanic of raiding. By taking money from my neighbors, I increased my men-at-arms regiments. I peacefully vassalized the Sterlings, and I unlocked a dynasty legacy. I chose the House of Warriors. New York is the most developed area in the game as far as I can tell, so naturally they are an excellent raiding target. They do have more soldiers than I do, but I got them to attack me across a strait, allowing me to defeat and kill enough of them so that they aren't a threat for now. I had free range to raid across New York, but Manhattan, which holds by far the most loot, was too well fortified for me to pillage. Still, I was able to take plenty from the surrounding area. I now had all the money and soldiers I needed. It was time New England was conquered. I attacked the Kingdom of Maine and took half their land. Soon after, their king disappeared without a trace, nullifying our truce and allowing me to take the other half. And it wasn't me who assassinated their king this time, I swear. Next, I attacked New Hampshire and then Moose County. I managed to win both wars within a year by capturing both of their rulers immediately. I now had enough land to create the Empire of New England, but I still needed more money. I went back to raiding in New York. This time I was able to pillage even Manhattan. My son and heir died during a battle with the New Yorkers, but I didn't mind because my new heir is his son, who I could raise myself to be as good a martial character as I can make him, and I even sent him to university. Over the next few years, I peacefully, and not so peacefully, vassalized the rest of the independent rulers in New England. I raided Quebec for gold, and I even expanded south towards New York. I also changed lifestyles from martial to learning, so that I could reform my faith easier and have Paul live longer. Eventually, I had enough money to form the Empire of New England, which I renamed to Innsmouth. My new empire needed a capital worthy of it, and Manhattan is the perfect candidate. To take it, I would need to defeat the Duchy of New York and their ally, the Old Dominion. Together, they have about as many soldiers as me, but what I don't have is the mega commander Paul. I started by besieging Manhattan, but my enemy went around me and tried to besiege my castles. I wanted to split my army in two so I could continue besieging Manhattan while defending my lands. But I needed most of my army just to maintain the siege, and the rest wouldn't be enough to defeat the enemy, so I abandoned Manhattan and chased them down with all my strength. Later, instead of trying to capture Manhattan, I wanted to win the war by capturing the weaker castles around it. But when I captured their holdings on Long Island and Staten Island, they had regrouped on Manhattan. And even though I outnumbered them, attacking them across a strait into a well-fortified county might result in defeat. I avoided them by going over sea. When they tried to recapture their castles, I attacked them from behind. After a few more battles and captured castles, I declared victory. I moved my capital to Manhattan, and having taken the profit perk, I reformed my faith. I added the warmonger tenant to make further conquest easier, and I made witchcraft accepted. By the way, we worship Cthulhu, the god of madness, but we shunned witches? Come on. The Empire of Innsmouth is the strongest realm on the East Coast. Paul is no spring chicken, but his young and competent successor is ready to take over. Our faith is on the rise and it allows us to wage near limitless wars of conquest. Join me next time when we'll see where we take things from here.